So let's get this game. It's up and running. Let's also make sure audio is about right. It's a bit loud. Options. Yeah, let's turn music down a little further. And so this is our first one. This is Void Ghosts, which is described, I'm looking exactly at the itch.io page for this. Void Ghosts is a high-octane score-chasing arcade shooter. Control your strange animal-headed monster and navigate a neon procedural death labyrinth. I'm down for that. So it's just like an arcade kind of shooter, probably like a Smash TV kind of vibe, I would assume. Which animal do we want to be? We get like full chromatic options. This is like Night in the Woods from Hell. Or I guess a bit like this is Hotline Miami gone wrong. I think that's a better comparison point. I don't know if there's a difference. By the way, like if your character choice has any influence. So we'll just be a blue ram. Okay, so no, this is more Nuclear Throne right out of the gate. We only seem to have a pistol right now, as far as I can tell. Presumably we'll like get other weapons as we go. Yeah, see, that looks like a different weapon. SMG, all right. Starts out pretty easy, pretty straightforward. Minigun. Shotgun. You can't like change weapon as far as I can tell. It's just what you got, you got. Oh, shotgun blast like ricochet, so that's cool. Get to the portal. Yep. So this is definitely like a Nuclear Throne kind of feel. In terms of the gameplay. It's less frantic though. It's definitely not chaotic the way Nuclear Throne is, which, you know, might be to your taste, might not, depends how you felt about that game. We have a harpoon gun now. It's an interesting weapon choice. This is also way more like out in the open compared to the last level. Oh, we either took 3 hits somewhere in there or we took one really nasty one. Nope, we just took like one really nasty one. I'm curious, what does like what amount of damage to you? Let's see. The music kind of, we got healed. Kind of expected, like chiptune sort of stuff. Nothing to complain about. I don't think we're hitting like banger territory, but not bad. I've been playing so much Enter the Gungeon that I'm like trying to dodge roll, which is not a thing. And we're dead. You can tweet your score. What does that look like? It says, I lost like a chump with only 5,600 points in hashtag Void Ghosts. I am not going to tweet that because I don't think that's a chump score. It very well could be, but for a first run, I don't consider that very chumpish. Now, this is clearly like meant to be a just a procedural generation game, not a roguelike. So like there isn't the like the level progression or anything along those lines that you have with like Nuclear Throne. That's obviously the first thing that comes to mind here, and I think it's a solid comparison. But this is clearly trying to be a smaller game than that. Hey, Chris. Yeah, I guess this is Laser Hell. I mean, we are a goat-headed man, although the goat-headed part was optional. We could have been frog-headed if we so chose. Also, I will say the visual aesthetic, I can see this being like an effect of this being a student project, like a small, like, quick thing. It does work, though. Like, if you gave me just Nuclear Throne, but it looked like this, I personally would not complain. I feel like a minimalist visual style is fine if there's enough detail that you can like get feedback on what's happening. And I think we're there. Like, I know what's going on, I know what's shooting at me, I know what's about to shoot at me. Like, everything's really abstract, which is fine. So it's like, it doesn't need a ton of detail, it doesn't need a ton of texture to still be readable. So yeah, this seems like a good, like, sort of score attack kind of game. And then it seems like each level, like, the difficulty just comes from, like, the chaos. There's just more stuff on the screen as you go along. And it's not lagging or anything. Like, this is very steady 60 FPS. The arrow indicator, like, around your characters seems to go to, like, the next, or the closest enemy, which it's not useful until the end. Like, for so much of the level you have... Just tanked that one. For so much of the level you have at least one enemy on screen, so you're like, I can just focus on that. It's only like when you're down to, you know, one or two left that it starts to become necessary. Hey, Icy Dice, how's it going? Yeah, this game is pay what you want. I feel like I've seen, like, games of similar size, as it were, on Steam, and they're usually like $1 or $2. I feel like that's a perfectly reasonable asking price. I got this like in a bundle years ago, so I definitely paid for it, but not precisely, you know? Like, when you get a game in a bundle, you pay for it, yes. You have exchanged money for the ability to play it, rather. But it's not quite like as compared to like buying it directly and specifically. I'm being really bad about dodging things. Banter Knights are kind of on hiatus, largely because we don't really know what we want to do with them. And also, like, people's availability has been so shot that it's been hard to get, like, even 3 people together, let alone, like, the full 4. Wow. You are just an expert dodger. It's like we still want to do, like, well, I still want to do some manner of co-streaming on Tuesdays, but I don't know what that's going to look like in terms of schedules and whatnot. I mean, yeah. Chris, you're always welcome to join if you're able to. And if not, I totally understand. I will say this is perfectly reasonable, but still annoying. When you're on the base pistol, you have to click for every single shot, which is exactly how I expect it to work, but, you know, enemies take a lot of hits, so you have to shoot a lot, and you have to click a lot. Also note, it seems like health drops are more generous, like, as you've been damaged longer. I don't know that that's the case, but it definitely... I don't think we've gotten any health drops when we're at full health. So I feel like that system definitely is aware of your HP. The real Dark Souls begins now. Or I guess the real nuclear throne. Again, this has a similar feel just because of the control scheme and the chaos. It doesn't feel like it's trying to be the same game. Like, you could try and make a comparison to Enter the Gungeon if you wanted to, but I don't think that really fits. I think if you're going to compare this to another game, it's going to be Nuclear Throne. Yeah, I hear you about, like, having to figure stuff out. Remember, I went a solid, like, month plus not streaming when I first moved to Canada. And for that was mainly logistical reasons, but hey, sometimes you gotta figure your shit out before you can do it. I do wish the gun drops were a little more generous. I know I say that right as I get one, but I feel like they are a little sparse. That might be like a difficulty thing, like that's intentional, I don't know. But it feels like using a gun other than the pistol is more fun. So for that reason alone, I wish there were more drops. I think that's a flaw in the generation algorithm. I don't think you're supposed to get out there. So if I read the page right, this is basically a student project. So I'm giving it a reasonable amount of leniency just for that reason. Sniped. Yeah, I don't expect too much out of a short-term project. I expect it to work, you know, but I don't end up expecting a lot of content as much as I do like a solid mechanic. This is fun. It's kind of mindless and maybe not the most entertaining thing to watch, but you know, if I just needed a good quick diversion, this would seem to do it. Is my last foe just living outside the map now? Yep. Tried to escape. Look at this bar. Yeah, we're in chaos stage now, for sure. We need to start getting some things dead and hope for a gun drop. Just as we were about to like spray and pray on it. All right. It's not very far to go with this one, unfortunately, so we are just going to move on to the next one real quick. I have to like update the command and stuff manually. I wanted to figure out a way to automate that stuff, but it's main menu. There we go. Now's a bot literally tweeting out the thing that explains what we're doing right now. So yeah, that was Void Ghosts. The developer of that also did like a Game Boy style platformer called Dullahan. Has a couple other ones on their itch.io page. That's still like one of the best developer names that I've seen in a while. The developer is Like 100 Bears. Very good name. So, yeah, final thoughts on that. Entertaining. It's functionally free, so it's worth grabbing it for that reason alone, but it's probably worth throwing at least $1 at. It's a nice little diversion.